Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to explain a little bit why promiscuous sex is immoral. So to begin with, what is morality? Morality ultimately comes down to what choices you make, and for a rational person, for an objectivist, that sort of what is moral is based on what is in your rational self-interest, what is best for your life, because that is ultimately the reason why you need to make choices at all. It comes from the fundamental alternative between life and death. You have to act to live, so your actions must be based on having life as the standard. So, that's essentially what morality is. Now, sex is a huge part of life. Sex is one of the greatest pleasures that one can attain during life, as long as it's done the right way. One important aspect of this is the idea of sex having spiritual value. Sex does have spiritual value because you gain a lot of pride from giving another person pleasure and realizing that you have achieved this person, essentially. That's a really weird way to phrase it, but that's essentially the point. It's the pride. It comes from all the pride you feel from having achieved that person with those values and seeing the embodiment of your values in another person. And that's what sex involves, along with the physical pleasure, which is a good thing as well, unlike what religious people would probably tell you, because they don't believe in pleasure as being a good thing. But essentially, sex is a very, very high spiritual, physical pleasure, for the reasons that I outlined. But what promiscuous sex does is it strips away the spiritual value. You're having sex with anyone and everyone. It takes away the sense of pride that you could feel because you're completely devaluing yourself by giving yourself to just about anyone. You're saying that, oh, this random person is probably good enough for me. I don't deserve anything else. And you're also making it purely materialistic, so you lose the sense of pride that comes with it. And this ultimately makes the act very empty. There's still a physical pleasure to an extent, but it's definitely not the same. It just gives you an empty sort of feeling inside when you engage in promiscuous sex. And ultimately, overall, when you begin to think that way and when you begin to have promiscuous sex, you integrate that into your subconscious, and you begin to slowly devalue sex in general over time. You begin to view it as more of a materialistic sort of thing, disconnected from spiritual values, which, by the way, both religious people and promiscuous people view sex as. They both view it as very materialistic. Promiscuous people say that's okay. The religious people say, no, sex is immoral because of that. To an extent, there's obviously varying religious beliefs, but the consequence of what religious people believe about sex ultimately redounds to that belief. I should make a video about the religious view of sex eventually, but I'm planning on doing that later. That's not this video. But anyways, yeah, so promiscuous sex over time, if you keep making those choices to engage in that type of sex, your view of sex in general becomes lower and lower and lower until you ultimately lose pleasure from sex in general. And over time, you have to overcome that. And that's very difficult to do. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.